manipulation. It's not based on, you know, oh yeah, we're gonna relieve some pain. Oh, we're gonna make your horse run faster. We're gonna make your dog quit knocking bars. We're gonna make it so he doesn't wake you up in the middle of the night. I don't know if I'm gonna do that or not. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna examine your dog's spine. I'm gonna remove his nervous system interference, and the dog's gonna do the rest. I don't know what's gonna happen. You're gonna have to call me next week and tell me what happened. How many, show of hands, how many people think I get phone calls the next week? And people say, oh, it didn't work. How many of those phone calls do you think I get? Yeah, not very many. Because we're specific with our chiropractic adjustment. We know what we're adjusting. Is chiropractic a miracle? Or is it just chiropractic? Think about it. Because people, how many of you have experienced chiropractic miracles in your practice? Are you sure they were a miracle, John? Or was it just chiropractic doing what it's supposed to do? It's doing its thing. It's just doing its thing. All right? Yeah. Because chiropractic is just doing its thing. How you define your practice is how the universe will determine what to deliver to you. What's on your vision board right now? And how big is your vision board? All right? What's on your vision board? What headlines are you going to read tomorrow morning? The ones somebody else decides you should read? Or the ones you decide to read? And in this world today, which one's going to make the most positive impact on the world and your clients? Huh? The one the media said you should read? Or the one you decided to write tonight before you went to bed? Yeah. What's on your vision board? I'm sure you guys have seen this. You know, dear Mrs. Edison, your son is mentally deficient. He cannot come to school anymore. He's expelled. That is the letter that came home from the principal's office. But is that what Thomas was read? This is Thomas Edison's mother. No, she said, dear Mrs. Edison, your son is a genius. He is too advanced for this school. We don't have enough smart teachers to teach him. You're going to have to teach him at home. Wow. Turn the light switch off just a minute back there. Huh. Wow. Where would we be if she'd have read that letter? But if she read that letter and turned the power on. So, how many powers are you going to turn on in your clinic next week? Who determines? Here's my vision board. This is me back in 1976. I wanted to be a rancher. My dad's a school teacher in Iowa. He's the youngest of 9 kids. What are the chances he's getting the family farm? So I decided I'd become a veterinarian because I thought that was the only way I'd ever become a rancher. Then I went to vet school and found out, yeah, that wasn't very well. But in 2014, that was our vision board. That was our house. We had 2 houses. My wife had a house in South Carolina, 25-year-old double wide. I had a house in North Dallas. It was only about 10 years old, but you know, I could say, hey, Diane, I need a cup of sugar. She could open her window, hand me a cup of sugar. And I could give it back to you next week. That's where we lived. Those are our 2 houses. We were commuting back and forth. We decided it was time to quit commuting. We should make one. So we had a vision board. That was our house. Show you the next slide is the house we live in. We didn't get this house, even though it's on our vision board. Man, it's kind of a bummer. We really had our heart set on that house. We really liked it. But you know what? It was too small. I'm standing in the barn taking a picture of the house over here. That's the house, around 192 acres in Dallas. That's our house. It's the same color.
Yeah.
It's got the same green roof. You know, when we bought it, it had a wood shake shingle roof. 165 squares of shingles. It's not going to happen anytime soon, is it? Because we just bought the house. We're going to have to live with this wood shake roof. Universe said that's not what's on the vision board. Your air conditioner ain't working. You should call an air conditioner repairman. So we did. Air conditioner repairman came out. Said, you know what? I could replace your air conditioner, but you really should call your insurance company first because you have hail damage. Insurance adjuster came out and said, yep, you got hail damage. We need to replace all 3 air conditioners and the roof. And oh, by the way, we won't replace the roof with wood shake shingles because you don't live close enough to the fire department. And our new regulations say it has to be replaced with metal. So now we have our vision board house. It works. Put it on a vision board. But make sure it scares the crud out of you. And make sure it's big enough. Because your tongue is your rudder. All right. Your philosophy and your procedures determine your profitability. If you don't have things ready when those clients come in, you're not going to be profitable, no matter how hard you try. I went to my daughter's a CA. She's 34 now. And I went to a meeting and heard this really cool stuff. And so I said, I'm going to go home and do that. And I was like, man, I bet my daughter could start doing that. So how many patients would you like to see in a day? Think big.
Around like 360.
360, great. How many you're seeing right now?
Last week we saw 334.
All week, right?
No,
But you want to do it
on Thursday.
on Thursday. Okay, 331. So you need to see 30 more patients.
Yeah.
How are you going to let the universe know you're ready to see 30 more patients? How are you going to let the universe know that you're ready to see 30 more patients? How about adjust 30 more patients every day?
Yeah.
You get done, you did 330 patients. The CAs bring you another file. Oh, hi, Mrs. Jones. How are you? Boom. Thanks for coming in today. I'm glad I could adjust you. Oh, Mr. Smith, you're here too. Thank you so much. My daughter says, yeah, we've been doing that every day. So our doctors like to see 50 patients each a day. So that's 100 patients a day. The doctors walk in the morning. How many files are set out? How many files are set out every day? 100. Some of them are true patients. Some of them are empty. But does the doctor know? No. And she said, you know what's scary? When we get an empty file, we take them back to the x-ray room. We do x-rays. We go through the whole 9 yards with them. We make up a story. She said, what's really scary is when we have a 37-year-old lady that was in a car accident, can't have kids, comes in on Tuesday. All right. And then on Thursday, a new patient shows up. And guess what she is? She's 37 years old that was in a car accident and can't have kids. She goes, whoa, that's when it gets really scary. Because she said, we make up stuff. And then the doctors adjust it. Adjust. That's scary. You can do it no matter what practice you're in. You know, you do it, don't you? When you make your meal, do you anticipate making a bad meal or do you anticipate hitting a home run?
Home run every time.
That's right. And what do? You hit a home run every time.
And I eat.
Yes, right. Your mouth must speak to your heart, so your hands can perform. If you can't talk the talk, you can't do what you want to do. Chiropractic is made up of the philosophy, science, and art. Science is. How many of you didn't have to take a science class in high school and college to get into chiropractic school? Science is there. Research. I don't know how many of you have Heidi Havock's book, but you can text 777, take a picture of that right there. You can text it, get a free download of Heidi Havock's book. Got a lot of research in it. Art, that takes practice. Philosophy, that is what determines your results. If you don't have philosophy, the science makes you a meta practitioner. And you know, who cares what your art is, right? Science holds a great power. Properly designed, properly executed. More often than not, science experiments lead to more questions than you started with. Yes, we have to have science. But guess what? We're finding over and over and over again, science backs up what we already know. Science backs up what we already know. And Billy D says the chiropractic adjustment delivered with knowledge and intent is the purest form of healing that we can give to another. And it doesn't matter if that's a person or an animal. And when we adjust these animals with intent, you will get results. But if you adjust it with knowledge of their spinal column and knowledge of the difference between the quadruped biomechanics and the biped biomechanics, your results become spectacular. This guy here, I don't know, I think some of you know, I've heard of him before. All bodily functions are performed by and through nerves. You put any pressure on those nerves, it screws up the bodily function. I mean, cell phones prove that, right? How many married guys are in here? What happens when the wife gives you a list on the cell phone and you only have one bar? What are the chances that you're going to get anywhere close to getting the right things at the store? Slim. What do you think?
Happy life.
Yeah, what do you think the chances of having a good functioning organ systems are if your organs are only getting one cell or two cell signals coming through instead of 100%? We've got to restore communication because that's what it's all about. Oops. The adjustment is a very powerful and safe tool in properly trained hands. You wouldn't want me adjusting your baby. You would not want me to adjust your baby. But let me adjust your giraffe. Let me adjust your turtle, your chicken, your dog, your horse. That's what I want to adjust. Because I know how to do those. Those are the ones that I know how to adjust. The first hole. How important is that first hole? How many nerves go through that? All but two. The eye, the optic, and the nose, up down there. And if you have a dog, they scent like this. So even though that the nose doesn't go through there, right? You're still olfactory, sorry. You're still affecting it. Peripheral vision, protection from bright lights. You're doing all that, you affect all that. So you affect vision, even though you're not directly affecting the optic. So we affect every nerve in the body when we adjust. COC1. How many of you felt a little uncomfortable when I put that, when you gave me your listing and I put that atlas on your finger? Were you ready for me to adjust your dog? I know a couple people said, this is starting to hurt. And I was like, good, it should. Your dog's running around like that, or you're running around like that. Let me adjust that thing. How many of you adjust kids? You get kids in the office and the parents like, oh, I don't think they need an adjustment. So you know, this is your kid's spinal cord. And this is his first cervical vertebrae. And his atlas is sitting like this. So I would propose that we go ahead and remove that vertebral subluxation and restore communication for your child. Or if you wonder why he's crying at 3 o'clock in the morning, which one would you prefer? Would you like me to remove that? All right. Okay, show me chiropractic. Because when we market to pediatric, when you market to pediatric, and when I market to animal owners, are we marketing to the patient? No, we're marketing to a third party. And we have to show them what it's about. Because even if they're chiropractic patients, who got the book? Who got my book? What's the title? I got one right here.
Yes, it's really a thing.
Yes, it's really a thing. After 22 years, people say, is that really a thing? Yes, it's really a thing. Yes. Can you make a living doing that? Yes, it's really a thing. Yes. Because all these symptoms of neck, of atlas subluxation, neck pain, back pain, reduced mobility, attitude change, ain't doing right. Weak immune system, lameness, GI disturbance. How many of you would take your dog to the vet for one of those things? Yeah. Man, a good atlas adjustment will take care of 90% of those. 3 atlas adjustments will take care of 95% of those. You let me adjust your dog 3 times in a week. If he's really sick, 3 times in 3 weeks. If it's just chronic, not doing right, maybe 3 times in a month. I don't know the timing, but we got to adjust him 3 times before we know if it's going to do any good. We got to get him 3 times. Because outside in healing tools, come on. Do they work? No. Our job as healers is to stay out of the way of the body. We need to remove interference and stay out of the way of the body. Are there times, my son got hit by a drunk driver. He was given a 1% chance of life. I posted for prayers on Facebook groups. I posted on all kinds of groups. I'm on DE, I'm on MACP Chiropractic Alliance group. I'm on all kinds of groups. Posted on all these groups. I'm an adjunct instructor at Parker Chiropractic College at the time. He's at Parkland Medical School, which is 8 blocks from Parker Chiropractic College. I get a text from a guy by the name of Dr. Stephen Judson. I don't know if anybody knows him or not. And it wasn't my treasure with you. Where's the closest airport? Where's the closest airport? Said, you can't bring your son out of there. He's getting kept alive by life support. I'll come to him. 14 DE chiropractors that I didn't know adjusted my son in 17 days and kept him alive. He still has issues, but he's here. And in fact, the neurosurgeon that did the craniotomy to relieve the pressure on the brain, 6 weeks later, she's alone with me and Dr. Amy in a room. It's just the 3 of us. We had to move him from a different hospital and do all kinds of stuff. Anyway, she goes, all right. She says, I've been on your website. She says, I don't blame you for playing the doctor card. I would too. But now I ask people when they tell me the doctor what time. She said, I don't know what you're doing, but don't tell me. because I've seen your website, I've seen before and after videos, I've seen all that. I don't know how much of that you're using on your son. I don't want to know, but just like I can tell you, I had his brain in his hands, and where he's at and where he should be are two different things. So just keep doing what you're doing. So, I mean, we all learned in school. We know all the science. We know it. We know it. You guys, just didn't get to forget it. You didn't. Your veterinarian did. Health comes from above down, inside out. There's no other way. There's no other way. Anything that comes from the outside, we have to deal with twice. We have to get rid of it twice. Nervous system is huge. Above down, inside out. Dogs, horses, doesn't matter. They all have a nervous system. Every one of them that goes through the atlas. This is the picture. It's in the veterinary textbook of a normal COC1. What do you think? How many of you had an Atlas Superior on the right? Who had an Atlas Superior on the right? Atlas Superior on the right or Oxford Superior on the left? Doesn't matter. That's the most, guess what the most common subluxation we find in dogs is? Atlas Superior on the right, Oxford Superior on the left. Wow. Even though they wrong, they were right. That's scary. Body was designed from day one for the brain to be in control of everything from regulating movement to healing. I pick on somebody else. Why are you here today? Because that cell and that cell got together, right? Why aren't you a dog? Why aren't you a giraffe? Because those two cells had the innate ability to make you. It was just two cells that came together, and they had the innate ability. They knew what to do. They knew not to be a dog because they didn't come from a dog. They knew not to be a horse. They didn't come from a horse. They knew to be a person. They knew to give you dark hair. They knew to make you a you. Right? From day one. That doesn't leave the building ever. Your dog has it. Your cat has it. Your horse has it. It doesn't matter. Anything that started as two cells has the same innate ability to heal. We just have to stay out of its way. Because there's three things that cause subluxation: slots, traumas, toxins. How many of your dogs are stress-free? How many of the animals in your community don't have any toxins in their environment? And how many of them survived birth, which is the most traumatic experience that any living creature has survived? Oh, wow. So what are the chances that the animals in your hometown need to see a chiropractor? We adjust the atlas. It's the brain spinal junction in the dog. What's there? Nothing real important, is it? That's the immune system. Why, when we adjust that, do we get a 400% increase in T lymphocytes over people that aren't adjusted? Wow. We have subluxation. It causes inflammation, right? Because we have one that's not moving. We get swelling, heat, redness, pain, loss of function. It doesn't matter. You can't have any inflammation any other way. You have a joint that's not moving, what happens to it? It becomes inflamed. You have a subluxation, you got a joint that's not moving, it gets inflammation. That's just the way it is. Swelling, heat, redness, pain, loss of function. When we get swelling, causes edema, right? Edema is affected by this one little thing that's different in the quadruped versus the biped. You may have any idea what that might be. Who said that? Gravity. Gravity. When edema around my spinal cord is affected by gravity, where's the spinal cord at? Where's the edema end up? Down here. Great. When edema at the atlas is affected by gravity, where does it end up? Right down here, on the bottom of the vertebral canal. Does anybody know what nerve runs right in the front of our spinal cord right here, right in the bottom of the spinal cord right here?
Vegas.
That runs outside. It's a nerve that goes to the big toe. So why, when you have an atlas subluxation, is in a dog, the first symptom, hind leg lameness? Because of gravity. We're going to show you in a minute how easy it is to check. Gravity. Most common pelvic subluxation that you guys see in your practice is a PI, correct?
Yeah.
If you see a PI in a dog, you're probably adjusting the wrong side. Why? Gravity. My guts are where on my pelvis, above it or below it? Above. So my guts are pushing my pelvis down, causing a PI. Where's the guts on the dog? Where's the guts on a dog? Underneath the pelvis. When gravity pulls the guts down, what does it cause? An AS. Yeah, you have a PI on the other side because you got to have it rotated, but your primary is your AS. If you just adjust the PI, guess what? You get licking and chewing, and you'll have a dog that does better for a little bit. But if you want long-term results, you got to be specific with your chiropractic adjustment. You have to know what you're doing. It just because you have to know how gravity affects the spine. That's why it's so important. Because there's the epidural space. It's on the bottom. The nerves to the back legs run right there and right there. So why is it an atlas? You know, we want puppies that work like that. We want happy puppies. We need to adjust their atlas. We look for lateral flexion. That means we do not have an atlas superior on that side or an occiput superior on that side. That's good lateral flexion in a dog. That first movement in a horse needs to be lateral flexion because rotation does not occur at COC1. Rotation occurs in the dog at C1, C2. Motion should start at COC1. Where did motion start in these two guys? C1, C2. What's their problem? Atlas. Is any organ in their body working properly? If we give them a drug, XYZ, what are the chances we're going to have an adverse side effect in one of these dogs versus one of these patients? If you give a drug to a patient that has subluxations, you increase the chance of adverse side effects because you have lack of communication between the brain and the body. So the brain can't adapt fast enough to account for the drugs. So you're more likely to have adverse side effects. So even if this guy needs a drug for whatever reason, he needs surgery, you're going to give him some drugs. But that's what he does when you ask him to flex. What are his chances of surviving the surgery or the drugs that you're going to give him? How important is it to make sure that these animals or your patients are subluxation free? All right. This is Zora. In January of 2017, Zora came to me because they were ready to retire her as a four-year-old German Shepherd female. They said, we're just going to let her have babies. We just need her to be comfortable. She's having some issues. It's in her hind end. She's knocking bars. She's dragging a leg every once in a while. But somebody said it might be in her TMJ because it's only when she goes over jumps with the dumbbell is when it's worse. I said it's in her. I'm going to show you how I determine that in a minute, but it's her atlas. I adjusted her atlas. So what do you think she can compete? Well, she's got some muscle atrophy already, because what's the fastest way to get muscle atrophy? Lack of use or lack of innervation? Lack of innervation. She had some muscle atrophy already. I said, well, you got to put some skin in the game. She said, what do you mean? I said, when's your next show? This was in January. She said, we got a show in March. Okay. Great. Pay your entry fee today. But what happens if she's not ready? I said, well, then you lose your money, and I'll tell you what, I'll pay you back. As long as I think you're doing a good job on training her. They paid her entry fee. I adjusted her every 2 weeks. They trained her. In March, she had the highest score in the US. She went from an 85 to a 98. She made the world team. That was in 2017. She made the world team in 2018. She made the world team in 2019. She made the world team in 2020. She made the world team in 2021. And guess what we adjust every time she comes in? They have 7 other dogs. And I have a podcast called Animal Chiropractic Clinic Chatter. And I interview other animal chiropractors and clients that really use animal chiropractic. And I look because it's a portion of my podcast called Who is Animal Chiropractic? I want to know who uses animal chiropractic, so you guys know who uses chiropractic, so we can get more people utilizing animal chiropractic. So if this was your dog, who has dogs that compete? Anybody? Horses that compete, kids that compete. Who's got a kid that plays baseball? All right. So if this was your kid that played baseball, you're going to talk about that kid that just did awesome? You know what? They talked about their 14-year-old Pomeranian that they were ready to put to sleep when they brought her in, that is still alive today, 5 years later, because I do what to it? It's just her atlas. Yeah. And you know what? That Pomeranian wasn't even in my story until we did the podcast. Because how many 65-year-old people come in to see you, John, and then feel better? Is that a chiropractic miracle? Nah, it's just the way it is. You gonna tell anybody that story? No, you're gonna talk about the one that came in, you know, the 17-year-old that came in like this and then went out like this, and you know, the guy that came in a wheelchair and then he walked out. Yeah, those are the good stories. Everybody's got that old man story. But to those people, the dog just died about a week ago. I got a huge painting. This is chiropractic. You know, spine whisperer. Wow. From them, when their dog died, in memory of Sassy, they sent me a big piece of artwork. Wow. Brain is all the time. We are making neuron pathways as you guys sit here. You're making neural highways. Who determines whether those neural highways are good neural highways or bad neural highways? Chiropractic. Make sure that, you know, whoa, we don't want that. Research shows subluxation leads to changes in the brain. You guys change brains every day. You don't just adjust spines, you change brains. This just came to me, Peter. I think that you guys need to just go to the White House. The Patriot March, basically, but a chiropractic march on the White House. Make every one of the politicians lay down and line up and adjust their acts. Probably once an hour for a while. I'm just thinking that once a week or once a month probably ain't gonna do it. Just a suggestion.
I love
I think
I love
you do that, yeah. I think that's, I mean, I'd go, but I'm not allowed, so. Sorry.
They can bring their dogs and their cats.
We know,
it. I don't know, some of them I think are more animals than humans.
yes,
Just jackasses, right?
yes. Yes. So maybe I would be more suited to adjust some of them. Is that what you're saying? Yes, so maybe we all go together. Anyway, we know that we change white noise in the brain. And I heard that and I'm like, how many of you have a white noise machine in your office or at home? And yeah, white noise, it's like, all right, so what's white noise in the brain? No, that's not what white noise in the brain is. I need everybody to picture the 14th cell on your left big toe. Okay, everybody got that cell? See that cell? 14th cell on your left big toe. It just took a crap. Sorry, but it did. Now, that poop has to come through your foot, up your leg, into your liver, so that next time we take a break, you guys can get rid of that, right?
Right.
Oh, your pinky toe just did it. Oh, the one on the right foot did it. Oh, that 14th cell on your cheek just did it, the one you're sitting on. When's the last time you had to think about making sure that your cells pooped properly? That's white noise in the brain, people. That's what white noise is. I have faulty white noise in my brain because I'm not breathing properly, right? That's also white noise. And every time you give an adjustment, you're altering the white noise in the brain. You're affecting every bodily function in that animal's body, whether it's two-legged or four-legged. Every function. Just think about that while you're sitting there, getting that poop out of your feet. Get it up there so you can get rid of it. Aren't you glad you don't have to think about that? I mean, how many of you ate? So all that food's got to get out of there, get to those cells, and then all that cells, you make them happy. What are they gonna do? Who's got a baby in diapers? Still anybody? Yeah. Yeah, you feed the kid, what happens? You feed the cell, yeah, now you gotta change the diaper.
Blowouts.
And aren't you glad you don't have to do that for that 14th cell in your big toe? I sure do. Yeah. We changed the hours. These animals lay down to sleep. Watch COC1 when this animal gets up. How important is proper motion at that lower, right behind that spine, that upper cervical, COC1, in order for this animal to get up from laying down to be able to move and live a good life? Why is it the atlas? We know there's more pain receptors, more proprioception receptors in the paraspinal muscles the closer to the head we get. So there's more at COC1 than there is in the same muscles that are lower at the back. So if those muscles are sore, if that joint's not moving right, is that animal gonna be able to get up? It's been proven. You guys have the science. Anatomical abnormalities of the cervical spine at the level of the atlas vertebra are associated with relative ischemia of the brain stem circulation and increased blood pressure. Manual correction of this misalignment has been associated with reduced arterial pressure. You guys have the science. How many of you have that in your office? Yeah, one. How many of you have patients that are on an outside in medication to lower their blood pressure? Let's put that sign in there. Oops. Oversensitive nervous system generates false alarms.
Can you go back to the sign you were just talking about?
Whoops.
And I couldn't see it back here, so we, okay. Can you read it?
Yeah, anatomical abnormalities of the cervical spine at the level of the atlas vertebra are associated with relative ischemia of the brainstem circulation and increased blood pressure. Manual correction of this misalignment has been associated with reduced arterial pressure. That's out of the Journal of Human Hypertension, and it's in one of Keith Wassharm's posters. All right.
You've seen that.
Yeah. So somebody said the vagal nerve's in here. We're working on the vagal nerve. Yeah, every time an atlas subluxation, we have a vagal nerve. Vagal nerve's not really important, is it?
Nah.
So we teach both veterinarians and chiropractors in our program. The only prerequisite to take our program and become certified in animal chiropractic is that you be one or the other profession. Neither profession is adequately trained coming out of school. In fact, there's a doctor by the name of Dr. Sharon Willoughby. She was taught at Palmer Anatomy in the late 60s. She was a DVM DC. She had both degrees. She was licensed in Illinois as a DVM. She was licensed in Iowa as a DC. She did animal chiropractic in both states, and she got arrested in both states for practicing medicine, veterinary medicine without a license in one, practicing animal chiropractic without a license in the other. She said, "This is ridiculous. There's no reason that anybody should have to have two licenses, 8 years of college in order to adjust an animal." So she came up with and made the American Veterinary Chiropractic Association, which says that both professions can be adequately trained with proper. Then the legal people got involved, but there's not a state in the United States where it is illegal for a certified animal chiropractor to adjust animals. We have them doing it all over the place. All right. There's this nervous system right there. There's the spinal cord. I divided it into 4 quadrants so you could see it. That's what it looks like going through a normally aligned first cervical vertebra. Atlas superior on the right. Atlas superior bilateral. Atlas superior on the left. So we get some kinks in there no matter what we do. We definitely have some problems with there's a horse. Get the same thing. Cerebral spinal fluid. How can cerebral spinal fluid flow properly? So adjusting the atlas increases that. You know, my son's problem is only visible thing on an atlas, on the x-ray, sorry, was an atlas that was a 1/4 inch to the left and rotated. And they said, yep, there's nothing wrong. We can't find anything wrong with this CT scan. Now, Dr. Amy is a veterinarian, and she's forgot neurology that I haven't even learned yet. Okay, so yeah, she's like, if you want to get the anatomical and be really, if you're a 4.02 student, then you'll love Dr. Amy. I'm a 2.01 doctor, and I got to keep it simple. So that's what we do, and that's why there's a lot of show me chiropractic. But I went to say something and she squeezed my leg. And she said, because all I was gonna say was that, yes, there is a problem right there. So then when these chiropractors all came and they asked, hey, can we adjust your son? We said, yeah, his atlas is a quarter inch to the left and rotate. I mean, that's not a good listing, but that's what we said. So anyway, the dura. We're gonna talk a little bit about dura. What's the dura matter mean? Anybody know? Tough mother. Who's a mother in here? All right, we got did I hear Puerto Rican?
Yeah.
Oh, we got a Puerto Rican mama in here. Big dude over here, right? Big guy. Big guy. Would you want to get between her and her kid and make her? Why not? Because a tough mother, that's right. Tough mother. Dura mater is a tough mother. All right. Where's the tough mother? It's between the disc and the cord, right? So we got a jelly donut in there, right? Peter's standing up there pretty nice. And if I crush that jelly donut, that jelly can go any direction it wants to, right? Because its gravity is affecting on it evenly. It's got a 25% chance it's going to the right, 25 to the left, 25 to the front, away from the cord, and 25% it's going to the cord. Where's that jelly donut on this guy? Below the spine. We crush that jelly donut. Which way is the jelly going? What are the chances it's impinging on the spinal cord and causing paralysis? How do we know? We use the tough mother. Because if we have an animal that we check leg length, and we say turn the head to the left, and leg length changes. And we turn the head to the right, and leg length changes. What's making that leg length change? The tough mother. But what's dural torque? It's the tough mother pulling the sacral base because it can't slide where it's supposed to slide. And so it pulls the sacral base. What are the chances that that dura is getting impinged enough to be causing paralysis on the cord? We've got a protocol where all we do is adjust these paralyzed dogs for a week. COC1. 94% are improved at the end of a week, no matter how long they have been paralyzed before they come see us. It's right now it's 7 doctors and it's up to 100 dogs. We're going to publish it when we get to 400 because we want to make sure we have enough numbers. Because surgery is only 50% effective in a paralyzed dog. We're 94% effective. So that really means surgery must decrease your odds of them getting better no matter what. Because the 50% that got better would have got better anyway, right? Yeah. So anyway, how does it happen? How do these guys get hurt? Oh. But he's okay. I was worried there for a minute. Man, how bad is that subluxation? These guys have a spine. But look at the facets. Look where they're at. They have secondary curves. What happens at those secondary curves because of gravity? We don't get CSF cooling if it's not working right. That's where we have to look for subluxation in those areas. How easy is it? It's pretty easy. Look at tuberous sacralis, tuberococcyx. PSIS is ASIS. Pretty easy. Pick the legs up. It changes bipedal versus quadrupedal, but look, we had a right short leg and a left short leg. That's the difference between bipedal stance and quadrupedal stance. Which motion it is. Here's one. Short right leg. Turn the head. Turn the head the other way. No movement, right? Guess what? AS, fix it. Leave it alone. Stop. Dog will be fine.
Yep. See, now you have to get in all the.
Yep. Take your head to the right. Takes the hammer away. That's figure out which way's right. Look, things got better, right?
Away from the short leg.
How many
Yeah,
sides?
sure, it's sucked up a little.
One or two? One. Guess what? You think you have a unilateral atlas subluxation or a bilateral atlas subluxation? Unilateral. That's how easy it is. And it's repeatable, no matter what size dog. We can repeat it over and over again. This is what we teach. We teach, show me chiropractic. Because you bring me your dog, and I say, look at his leg length, Paul. Look at her leg length. Wow, that's pretty bad, right? Just the atlas. Look at that leg length. And we didn't even touch the pelvis. That's show me chiropractic. You guys do it all the time. You know how that came about? I'm laying on a table. A chiropractor is teaching other veterinarians about leg length. How bad are my leg lengths normally? Pretty bad. Pretty bad. I'm laying on the table, turn your head to the left, turn your head to the right. Can I see what's going on down there? Can your clients see what's going on down there when they do that? Nope. Gotta adjust my atlas. Turn your head to the left, turn your head to the right. 7 veterinarians simultaneously went, ooh. Okay, Dr. O, you can get up and leave now. And I'm like, right? Is there blood? Is there pus? What's going on? You know? So I had to go home and start trying to figure out what this leg length stuff is, because 7 veterinarians, I mean, come on now, veterinarians, like, you know, we eat on a surgery table most of the time. So it takes a lot to get a veterinarian to go, ooh, and to get 7 of them simultaneously to go, ooh, together with no blood or pus involved. It was like, okay, this has got to be something going on. We figured it out. Yeah, it's highly repeatable. Big dogs.
How much shorter the leg is? Yeah. Turn the head to the left.
Little dogs. That dog's totally paralyzed. All the time. I had a dog that was paralyzed, 2nd time paralyzed. They called me. I'm in South Carolina. They're in Texas. Dog's paralyzed. When are you gonna be home? 2 weeks. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? Go see this guy. He knows manual technique. I know he likes to use an activator. He knows manual technique. Your dog has an atlas superior on the right, which means you have to grab a hold of the wing of the atlas. You have to pull it towards the dog's butt. You can't get in there with an activator. I've tried. You can't do it because of where it's at. It's up here close. There's no way to get in there. Now you can go in and you can push the atlas down, but you won't get the same results. We went in. They said, oh, we need to take x-rays. The disc at T11, T12 shows calcified and is up. He was a veterinarian. He does activator and manual technique. He adjusted twice, but guess where he adjusted? Where? T12. They call me after the 2nd visit. He's not any better. Not any better. He said, all right, let me see if I can find somebody else. So I call this other doctor. All right. Call this lady doctor that I know, I trained. She knows how to adjust the atlas superior on the right. This dog's coming in. It's got an atlas superior on the right. Okay. Can you adjust it for me? Yep. Nothing else. Do the atlas superior on the right. That's it. Yep. I can do that. Great. So people bring the dog in. They say, here, yeah, Dr. G has looked at this dog twice. Not doing very good. Dr. O says you should adjust it because you'll do it right. Oh my gosh, Dr. G. So who'd you come with tonight? Who's your mentor in here? Yeah. So imagine if he was the guy that adjusted it twice. You're gonna listen to me or him? He right. So guess what she did? Where did she adjust? Well, how many times? Twice. They're both ABC certified doctors. Lady calls. We're gonna put the dog to sleep tomorrow. We just can't handle a paralyzed dog anymore. Well, we'll be home tonight. We've been gone for 2 weeks. They had to back out of the driveway so we could pull in. Come in. Dog's paralyzed for 2 weeks. Turn the head to the left. Turn the head to the right. Put the dog down. And yes, what did he do? He walked. And she looked at me and she said, "Does everybody know this?" So what became part of my vision board now? Everybody knows this. The atlas. Why it's the atlas. You got it. You know, so Dr. Amy didn't have a video camera. She had a video camera. Nobody knew how to take the video. So she handed her camera to a 12-year-old. She said, "Here, I'll tell you when to take the pictures. It's a little hard, but you got a short leg, normal, normal." She adjusted the atlas. They're all the same. She took pictures. There's your before and your afters. She handed them to a 12-year-old. Wow, how hard is that? Yeah, if it's a combination, you're gonna have not 100%. Okay, but those are dogs, right? What about a horse?
Well, what you got? She's gonna be all right.
So we're gonna put this patented hip leveler on this dog, on this horse, on the tuberous sacralis. Should those move when the horse laterally flexes?
Crooked, a little bit crooked to the downside.
Okay.
Is that leg length change?
Oops. When he raises his head, it goes away.
Alex try to see if he raises his head and it won't.
He doesn't have a very flat spot.
Unilateral or bilateral? Unilateral.
It went down fast.
That's all right.
All right, we didn't have our stick with us. And besides, the owner really couldn't see the stick.
Why is that?
That's pretty good that way, isn't it?
This is trying not to his buddies. Okay. Yeah, it's getting better. Now it should get worse. Oh, it's gonna fall off. You can't do that side.
Yeah. Unilateral, bilateral, atlas subluxation. Did I get it adjusted? Did I clear that atlas? Is it clear? What am I gonna do? Put that traffic cone back up there, laterally flex the neck. How hard is that? Checking leg length. If you just go to a vet clinic and teach them how to check leg length and show them what it is, why it's always the atlas, how hard is it gonna be to get referrals? So even in states where it requires direct supervision, means you have to be in the same building. How many dogs do you think go into a veterinary clinic on an average day that don't have an atlas subluxation? You teach that, you say do triage, give them something for rental of their space. Every vet clinic in the country is overwhelmed right now. There's not enough veterinarians because veterinarians are depressed. We have the highest suicide rate in the world because job satisfaction sucks for veterinarians, not for animal chiropractors. Why does it suck for veterinarians? Only 50% of animals that have paralyzed dogs that have surgery walk. Less than that get drugs walk. 94% of my dogs walk. Oh, and besides, so just so you know, one of the dogs that didn't walk was he was standing 4 hours later. It's pain, dog. I can't be taking my dog out. That's one of the dogs that was in the study. Well, he got euthanized within 4 hours. Even if he was bad. Another one. It's too far to drive back to see Doc. I gotta go see the vet because my dog's screaming. 3 days, too far. So they went back in. Where'd the chiropractor adjust? He adjusted up there. I sent the vet x-ray. He just needs to go surgery. Okay. They went to surgery. They did surgery where the x-ray showed the problem was. You think he's in the 50 that got better? Or the 50 that's not better? No, he's still paralyzed after surgery. Even though he walked after his first chiropractic adjustment, he walked out and didn't scream for 3 days. But the chiropractic adjustment didn't work. So how important is education? I knew that was coming up. So, quadruped body. I've never heard this song before.
I've got a plan. I've got an atlas in my hands. I've got a tale. I listen to the lessons I've learned. I've got a plan. I've got an atlas in my hands. I'm gonna tell. When I listen to the lessons I've learned.
How many of you put an atlas in your hand at least 10 times a day? And you have a plan. So, this guy here got a cease and desist order back in 1922 for adjusting a cow, and it got better. So challenge accepted. We adjust. Our techniques have changed because we learn more. I've got over 60 spines in my bone room. Techniques are based on neurology, osseous anatomy, and the science of chiropractic. They're all philosophically based, no matter which animal we adjust. And it's great, because how many double-blind studies do you need if this is your anecdotal evidence? There you go.
Whoa, it's magic.
Wait, she's practicing chiropractic on the license.
She just set it up, go up. It
Oh,
wouldn't set up. She was trying to get it into show stance. She
oh.
couldn't get it signed up, set up. I adjusted it, said, now try it. And she said, whoa. Bucking bulls. We know they do better. We do a lot of production animal chiropractic, which means we don't do, it's for the greater good. I know that's bad words right now, but it's for the betterment of the herd. It's about being a more profitable industry. It's about having a farmer that can make money so that we can eat locally grown, good produce and not have to come in from Australia. So we're working on the immune system, reproduction, growth, taste. Production medicine is money. Releasing stress on the nervous system, chiropractic permits the immune system to function more effectively. All right. You got COVID, go see your doctor or come get an adjustment. What are you telling your patients? How many of you are afraid to adjust somebody that's been positive tested for COVID? I hope none of it, but I know there's chiropractors out there. All right, this gal here owns the largest dairy in New York, 10,000 cows. She came to class. She said, I don't know how I'm ever going to use this. But she said, I'm tired of veterinary medicine, but I don't know if I can get out because it's a family farm. I said, adjust the sacrums of all your open cows. So all these cows have babies. They get exposed to a bull, probably artificially. And then at 30 to 60 days, they get preg checked. They're either pregnant or open. 80% of them are pregnant. 20% of them are open. I said, so those 20%, just adjust 5% of the sacrums. Just the sacrums. We're not going to adjust anything else. All we're going to adjust the sacrums. It either went up, right, or left. Pretty simple. So she's standing behind the cow, right? You adjust the cow sacrum like this. Boom, boom, boom. Pretty simple. It affects the pudendal nerve. What's the pudendal nerve do? Huh? Uterus and ovaries, uterine tone. Tones up the muscle of the uterus. All right. So that's what she did. She came to class, increased conception from 30% to 35% on the second service conception. An open cow cost the dairy farm $2,000 a year. Figure the money on that. 100 cows, 5%. That's 5 cows, $10,000. 1,000 cows, $100,000. 10,000 cows. Called her up, said, "How you doing?" Days to heat decreased. There's some money in that too. How's it going? I would discontinue the study. It's too costly to maintain the control. I said, "What? What do you mean you discontinued the study? Oh my God, blah, 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 blah." I went off on it. Dr. O, calm down. Did you hear what I said? We discontinued the study. Why? Read that line. Somebody read it to me.
Too costly to maintain
Cost of
control.
maintaining control.
Cost to maintain the control. Her biostatistician said, "These control cows are costing us too much. You need to start adjusting." There's no double-blind study now because there's not enough numbers before the biostatistician pulled the plug on it and said, "Adjust everybody."
Everybody.
Right. So now we got a 10,000, but it's not a study. Why can't we get valid, chiropractically blind, double-blind studies?
Everybody wants to get adjusted.
Because it's not, doesn't make financial sense. Chickens. We looked at chickens, at the ranch. Started with a small group. We had 13 birds in one group, 12 in the other. Adjusted chickens. 92 days before they reached 6.5 pounds. Non-adjusted chickens, 103 days before they reach 6.5 pounds. How much feed does a chicken eat in a day? Maybe 10 cents for it. But 10 days is what? $1. You got 100 chickens, how many is that? $100. You got 1,000 chickens, how much is that? How many birds are in some of these broiler farms that you see out there?
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands. How many dollars is that? We start getting chiropractic into those. How are we going to get chiropractic into those big barns like that? We got to tell them where the money is. Adjusted chickens. Oops, sorry. They mature and grow faster than non-adjusted chickens. Better flavor and juiciness. How do we know that? Well, we did the taste test. You know, less carbon footprint, all kinds of stuff. Subluxations are.
Chicken.
Huh?
How do you adjust a chicken?
One joint at a time. One joint at a time. And mainly it's the apples.
Does it stand still? Does it let you
You
do
hold
it?
it,
Does it
you
bite
hold
you?
it. Nah, you hold it. Our hands that have been here for a long time, the meat chickens, you have to have a assembly line kind of thing. They catch them, adjust them, put them down. But our laying hands that have been with us for 3-4 years, some of them now, you walk out and they'll run around, they're all free range. And every once in a while, one will just be like, so you pick it up and you adjust it, and you put it down and they run off. Somebody said, "Oh, that's just because they just want to be petted." So, okay, fine. So chicken comes out, chicken's over there, I go out, there's a chicken. So I pick it up and I say, "Thank you, girl, way to go, Henrietta, good girl," and I put her down. So I pick her up. Good girl, you did great. You're doing a good job for us. And I put her down. I pick her up and I adjust her. And I put her down. And I go to pick her up again. And I can't catch her. She won't let me pick her up. Done, dude. Thank you. Our chickens ask for chiropractic
How do you adjust the chicken?
One joint at a
Yeah,
time.
but I have chickens at home.
I can tell you how to get to them. Subluxations are very real. This is work out of University of Colorado. It's not out of a chiropractic school. I know schools are saying subluxations don't exist. The chiropractic boards are trying to say subluxations don't exist. I mean, I'm not there every day on the front like you guys are, but I hear stuff. You know, subluxation is very real. We have documented to the extent that no one can dispute its existence. This guy is not a chiropractor. Vertebral subluxations change the entire health of the body by causing structural dysfunction of the spine and nerve interference. The weight of a dime on a spinal nerve will reduce nerve transmission by as much as 60%. And now this same guy has come out and said, hey, guess what? I was wrong. It's not the weight of a dime, it's the weight of a feather. How many of you have heard that before? Yeah, use it. When you get challenged, make sure you're using this stuff because all the drugs in the world cannot adjust the subluxated vertebrae. What's on your vision board? How big is your vision? Because my vision board scares the shit out of me. But it's what gets me up in the morning. Because my vision board is that man over there, not deciding what food's on this for tonight, but deciding which adjusted animal will be the main course.
Amen.
That's my vision. You got this. You are the perfect you. Nobody else can do what you do, but you do it. And John and I did not talk.
What I see,
But what's the last thing he said when he was talking tonight?
all that I can ever be is just a
You do
man.
you. What's my last slide say?
And the most you can ever do,
You do you.
the best you can.
Thank you. I'll be downstairs. Your office, we would love to be a part of your journey, and we are flexible.
I'm just
Big round of applause, Dr. Ross. So Dr. Rowe, don't run away. Oh, sorry. Somebody take a picture.
Is it Dawn?
There you go. Oh, yeah. So Dr. Rowe, a number of years ago, Mass Alliance chose as its icon Boston Light.
Okay.
Boston Light has been leading ships safely to harbor in good weather and bad. You helped shed light upon all of us, to help us find our way, help the animals find their way. I honestly believe from the deepest part of my soul that the animals might be the true savior of our profession. Because if more people knew what you were doing, what's happening, the research that you're doing, they're going to step outside the box because you're defining the whole new profession. And it's not chiropractic and it's not veterinary medicine, it's animal chiropractic. Thank you for doing that. Massachusetts Alliance for Chiropractic Philosophy was built to empower, perpetuate, and preserve our unique vitalistic philosophy through a loving and supportive group of subluxation center chiropractors. We spoke your name wrong, I'll fix that.
Okay.
The chiropractic you touch are better able to serve humanity. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Go downstairs and have some beverages.
Yes. If you would like Dr. O's book, he has them here. How much are they?
They're 20.
$20. If you would like Dr. Margie Rosen and Dr. Nancy Watson's book, how much are they?
$20.
And do you have any here?
Yes.
Awesome. And we'll see you guys all next month. Big round of applause.
Oh, wait a minute. almost forgot. Through Dr. Peter, generosity of having me here and everything else, we have a Mass Alliance scholarship for the next 6 months. And anybody that's here tonight, there's some paperwork you can do, but there is a small scholarship off the tuition at ACES. So if you're interested, make sure you get my information. And it's pretty easy, and then you'll fill out a form, but just bring your phone and we can contact or take a QR code.
Just so you know, because he didn't talk about it at all. It is 280 hours,
240 hours.
240 hours. Much of it is online. Some of it is in Texas, but you act, it is hands-on. You get your hands on animals, dogs, cats, horses. So you leave there knowing what to do to take care of them.
We are the only program in the United States. There's 5 that teach, set you up for the ABCA exam. We're the only program that makes you adjust an animal in class.
See you guys all downstairs. Thank you. Feel free to go down. Take your photos.
I'm trying.
Amazing. Go ahead. That's fine. Yeah, you'll have. Yeah. I'll get the report. Thank you, Dr. Nick.
Peter,
No.
Peter.
What? Oh, is that my phone? Oh, that's right, because I rattled out one of the social buffers. Oh, I did the wrong one, sorry. Oh.
ARIS.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Really know about how high that.
How many stacking for? I don't know.
About 15.
Okay.
Did you want me to end this? Did you want me to press end?
Yeah.
We talked to go to chiropractic.